Hi everybody, so I woke up this morning to a bit of a disaster. I came down because I've got this habit of setting prints going overnight because I just rely on these printers, but they don't always work. And the disaster is this chewed up bit of plastic. What it's done then is clogged the nozzle and we've got this massive lump of plastic on the hot end here, potentially ruining this printer. But as everything is an opportunity to learn, I thought what I'd do is take it apart and see if we can repair it. When you've done that, just remove them. And it's now held on only by the belt. To get the belt undone, twiddle that till everything's nice and loose. And you slide the belt off and it's got a little lug there that holds it on. So slide it off there, and there you go, it's removed. Okay, there it is. Not to put too fine a point on it, that's a real shame. Hey, there's the big old lump of plastic that we've got there. This is PLA, covering the nozzle and capturing some of the electronic wires. Here are the wires going to the thermal sensor in the hot end. And of course, what we've got to do is remove that. And to remove that, what I've got is a small screwdriver, a box knife, a pair of pliers, and the thing that's going to be essential, it's a soldering iron. This is quite a good soldering iron, but we're going to use this soldering iron to help us remove that plastic. And the way we do it is just turn the soldering iron on, stick it in the plastic, and the plastic will start to melt, which is exactly what you want to do. Now, if you're going to do this with something like ABS, then you really need to be in a well ventilated space. It's like the scab. It's kind of satisfying when you peel a bit off. There we go. Okay, we're getting there. Now, if you don't want to mess around getting all this bit out because it's all a bit tedious, then these two screws here, if you unscrew those, that entire hot end comes out and you can just buy a replacement hot end. This, incidentally, is also the same thing that you would do if you were replacing the tube in here, because this is where the feed tube is. There it is. That's the bit that's still stuck in there. You can see that tube's actually a bit burnt on the end, which is no surprise. If we remove that tube, then we can put a new tube in there. Let's guarantee that that thing is ruined. It's just like a nut, it just unscrews, and then we've got a little baggie with some spares that came with the machine, because this is the first time I've ever had to repair this. And then we put the new nozzle in, and there's a PTFE there that slides in there, and then that thing just goes back in there like that. Now bear in mind, this entire assembly is only £23 from 3D Jake. There's a limit to how much trouble you might want to take with this, but we've got the spares. It's the first time I've ever had to do anything like this, so why not? There are, of course, two ways that can fit on. It can fit on that way or the reverse way. You fit it on that way, and you'll notice right there it's got a hex. So the hex faces towards the body of the motor here. Then we took this fan off because it had a lump of plastic in it, and the fan goes back on there. Like that, and then these screws here and here screw on with these 4 short screws that we've got right there. Once we've got the fan back on, we can put the main board back on. The main board goes there like that. Now I keep track of the screws by leaving them with the bit that they go to, making it all very much easier. And this entire job was done with the tools that Elegoo supplied. And of course this is the only problem I've had in about 8-9 months. So it took a little bit of finding, but if you keep the tools somewhere handy, you don't need anything else above what you came with the actual printer. And that screws back on there like that. When it comes to putting back the wires on the motherboard, of course, people worry, but there's a couple of clues. One is the wires tend to be bent and only fit in one direction. Two, the sockets are only a certain size, so half of them will only go in one place, so that clearly only fits in there and nowhere else. This one, which is the heater, that's a big old chunky piece because it's supposed to take a lot of power, and it will only go in here, leaving us these two. This one looks like it goes in there, and this one looks like it goes in there. And helpfully enough, on the motherboard it says fan and thermal sensor. Actually it says TH1, so we know that that thermal sensor goes right in there and that fan goes right in there, leaving us these two spare. That's for the case fan and for the sensor that went down here. So that's the optical sensor I was on about. It goes in there because it's the only one that'll fit in, and it also says sensor, and then it screws on there like that. And once we've done that, we can slide the case back on, and it just slides back in there, watching out for the wires. And of course we've got two things ready to take the fans. One fan goes there, one fan goes there. Now when we took this off, we removed the carriage, and there it is, and the carriage goes right on there like that. There's three screw holes, 1, 2 at the top and 1 at the bottom. It goes into the bottom one right there, because those top two, they take this one, which goes into those top two like that, and that's obviously the cable lead. So let's screw those together. Okay, that's it cleaned up, repaired, and back to ready to go back on. Just put the rubber shoe back on there. There we go. And we can remount it. Now I removed the two wheels here to remount it, and these slots are the ones that take the actual belt. So let's go and remount that. So there you go, all back together. Now, it wasn't that hard. In fact, it was pretty easy to do. The hardest thing was removing the plastic, and the key to that is that soldering iron trick that we did. That made it actually pretty easy to do. And of course, what we've learnt now, if we want to upgrade this, so say we want to do an abrasive material like glass fibre reinforced or carbon reinforced resins, we know how to change the hot end now, so we can change that nozzle, and we're able to print with different materials. Or if we want to take the temperature up, then that PTFE blue tube that I put in there, if we replace that with a brass tube that they sell as a kit, we could print hotter materials like nylon, for instance. Now, because I've done this, of course, I've altered the bed height, so I've recalibrated the bed plate. Now, I've done a video on how to calibrate the bed plate, but to be honest, if you're having this problem, you already know how to do that. So I've recalibrated the bed plate because, of course, I've put a different nozzle in at a slightly different height. The only thing we need to do now is check that it prints. There you go, good as new, printing like a good un. Will I not print overnight? Well, probably not, because it doesn't really faze me much doing these kind of things, because, you know, it's not really a problem, it's just a solution waiting to happen. And with a pocket full of dreams and a handful of hope and a get up and go attitude, it's not that difficult to fix anything you want to fix. So, I hope the video helped. Hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you very much, and please do remember to like and subscribe.